Hello and welcome to the Star Podcast. This is the 324th edition of this podcast, and this podcast is especially special because it goes out to all of the students at the University of Alabama.
It is I, the private pilot who pilots, Private Pilot Evan Pilot, formerly known as Shane Corn, and with me, as always, is my trusty companion, Tex. Okay, so we're continuing on our series of crazy things that have happened during high school. Yikes. So, this story is junior year, the crazy year for all of you people. This year was intense for many different reasons, but this was the one and only time my entire my entire school career that I was suspended from school. However, this time, the thing that happened will remain a mystery. All I'm going to say is the punishment that I received.
Okay.
I got 5 full days of suspension, and I lost all school activities for the rest of
the fight?
I told you, we are waiting to the end. It is a mystery. You are allowed to guess along the way, and I will say no because you will not know. So.
Was that not a guess?
That was a guess. However, that was incorrect. Therefore, we are moving on.
There you go.
Okay. So, I got 5 days of suspension. I lost all school activities for the rest of my junior year, as well as no school activities my entire senior year. So, let me take you back to where this all began. One day, it was getting near the end of the school year, probably about 3 months before school ends. Everything's kind of starting to motion into its way of being at the end of its lifespan for the year. And my phone, out of nowhere, right as the school bell rings, just starts blowing up with messages in a group message. Just message after message. Like, can you believe what this dude did? This is insane. This dude doing things is me being on yearbook. So, that is your first clue, your first
So you're a
hint.
nerd.
Yes, I am. Thank you for pointing that out for our lovely audience.
Yeah,
they obviously know from the past 323 podcasts.
You never know.
Needless to say, the next morning I decided to go, you know what? I'm going to turn myself in for this horrible atrocity that I did. So I go to the yearbook teacher, 6 a.m. in the morning, the day they're going to start giving out yearbooks. She sees my face. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I was the one that did that thing. And she just starts going off in the most ridiculous way possible, going, "You're a horrible person. I cannot believe you would do something like this. How would you jeopardize our entire chances of getting awards for this yearbook?" So my teacher completely goes off on me, sends me to the principal's office. The first time my entire school career that I had ever been in said principal's office. And yeah, I know. I mean, I thought it was pretty impressive up to this point. And you would think, oh, he's never done anything. Great track record. You know, they're going to go pretty easy on him. No, the principal starts going off saying, "We have never seen anyone do this before in the history of our school." To be fair, though, the school had only been 11 years old at the time. But they're like, "We have never seen anyone do anything like this before. We're going to make an example of you so that nothing like this ever happens again." All right. Any guesses thus far?
No clue.
Okay. Next thing. So, after the principal gets super mad at me, I get suspension for 5 days. This 5 days of suspension was an out-of-school suspension, and the only way for me to remove it off my record entirely was to go to a thing called alternative to suspension, which was basically just an all-day detention somewhere else. It is a rundown old school that had been out of commission for 15 years. It was only used for this suspension, this alternative to suspension, for all of the schools in the same school district. So I get there, and the first day you're there, the proctor takes everyone who's brand new and takes them into the back room and puts them at the circle table. And then the person goes person by person. No, it was not. It was actually nicely lit and well furnished.
What a letdown.
Oh, right. However, we go around this entire circle table, and it was, we went person by person. How many days are you suspended, and what did you do? Just like an AA meeting, to put it lightly.
Okay.
So they went around. Person's like, "Oh, I got 1 day of suspension. I was caught with weed." in my locker. Right? Yeah.
It's California.
Yeah, well. Next person goes, oh, I got 2 days of suspension. I was in a full-blown fight.
Did he win?
Oh, I do not know that. Little piece of
Well, if he didn't say,
Would be
probably
nice.
lost.
Right? The next person goes, I'm here for 3 days. I was selling drugs on campus. Oh, gets to me, and I go, I got 5 days of suspension. The entire room, every single pair of eyes goes straight to me like, what did this person do? This person had to have done something insane, right? So much so that the proctor actually said, oh, okay, stop. You don't say what you did. We don't want to give anyone else ideas. So for the 5 days that I was at an all-day detention there, every single person there was staring at me like, this dude must have murdered someone. It is unreal what this guy has done. Yeah, I'm sitting there. It's brutal, crazy, not allowed to talk. You're just doing homework, 6 hours with 1 5-minute break. That is all this is. It is absolutely
Did
horrid.
you go to the restroom?
Yes, only twice the entire time though. They had a set number of bathroom breaks per person. So this last thing, after alternative suspension is completely over, we go sit outside on this super nasty old lunch table with like the gray plastic covering, holes, rips, graffiti, the whole 9 yards. Had to have been there for easily 25 years. You know the tables, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Obviously. I see a group of guys sitting around this table, and you kind of look at them and you're like, okay, what are these guys doing? I see one of them pull out this small vial with this, like, white powder in it, which they then open and, like a movie, put in a line and use a card and snort said
As you
mysterious white powder, correct? So I can only assume for it to be
Well, you know
some
what
sort of
happens
drug.
when you assume.
It makes a drug user out of you and me.
It's not what the saying is, but we'll go with it.
Okay, so I can only assume that this white powder was some sort of drug, and that they were doing some sort of drug as an alternative to suspension. And these are the people that got 1 or 2 days. So as a 5-day suspension person, I must be the most hardcore person in the world, right?
Well, maybe.
Well, give it 5 minutes, because 5 minutes later, this car pulls up, and you're like, okay, what is this nonsense? This car pulls up, this truck, super old, beaten red truck, like paint's chipped off, the whole everything. And one of the girls from the alternative suspension walks up to the car. Like, what? All we see, out of nowhere, this girl lifts her shirt completely with nothing on underneath. Towards the guy, and we're all like, what just happened? Like, insane, right? She puts her shirt down, truck drives away, she walks back, and she goes, oh, well, the guy said he would give me a cigarette if I flashed him.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Well, you know.
These are the kind of people that I was with the suspension because of how hardcore of a thing I did in yearbook, mind you. So, as a final guess, do you have some sort of idea as to what I did?
You put an injury in there. Like football player injury. Like put a nasty broken leg in there.
Tex is obviously horrible at guessing.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, you know what it is. So, to reveal, the final reveal. Boom, boom. I put a picture of Patrick Star from SpongeBob in the yearbook 5 times.
Was he like photobombing? Was it creative?
No, it was super small and in the corner and only on the sheets that I created for yearbook.
That's hype.
That, apparently to the entire school district, was worse than having drugs, getting in fights, or selling drugs on campus. Thank you once again for joining us on this 324th edition of the Star Podcast. As always, with me commentating was Tex and myself, the private pilot who pilots Private Pilot, Evan Pilot, formerly known as Shane Korn. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you again next week.